welcome to At the Coffee Shop. My name is Tolu Dada and this is Sheila.
Good morning.
Sheila, tell us what you do.
I work as a business development consultant, which actually means that I help companies sell different products. So we package products and we work with companies to take it to market.
Okay, so how do you get your clients?
Usually through referrals. Nigeria is an ecosystem, a business ecosystem that needs a works based on relationships. So a lot of the times if you try to go cold, I'll probably say maybe 1 out of 10 customers has been like a cold lead. But usually it's because they are looking for a specific thing and you just happen to be in the market. So it's more of like a luck opportunity thing. But most of the time it's through referrals.
So would you say if you say for instance what your MO is when you go for like events, are you say going with the mindset of having a good time, depending on the type of event, like you said, and the type of people that you think you'll be meeting there?
Yeah.
So you're just chatting, just having a good time, and then you start talking about work.
Yeah.
Or do you start selling yourself, or you're just
that sounds so wrong.
selling your business?
Okay.
Impression. So selling your business, and then are you very conscious when you're doing that, or is just say by the flow of the conversation?
It really depends on the day of the week.
Really?
Yes. On a Monday when I have when you're most business-like, if I went to an event on a Monday, I probably would be a little bit more, prepared to be formal. I would probably go with like a plan or a strategy, or, by this date, I want to have met with this person after the meeting and followed up on something like that. On a Wednesday, depending how Monday and Tuesday was, I might be a little bit more loosened up. I might be a little bit, yes, I would still have this is my objective. I mean, the objective is always to connect to as many people as possible, because you never actually know, what good is going to come out of it from a personal relationship. Friendships, that's also quite solid, because people who have been my friends, and I'm sure you have the same experience, like, you don't necessarily know what you're going to need tomorrow, but if you have a really good friend and then they've been your friend for 2 or 3 years and all of a sudden you're thinking about something, oh yes, I know this person, so you never actually know how people are going to add to your life. But I mean, on a Friday, it's like, give me a drink and whatever happens, so it really depends on it really depends on the day and the type of week.
Well, yeah, I agree. What would you say the role of business cards play in the whole networking game, for lack of a better word?
To me or to everybody else?
To you.
This is really bad, but business cards sometimes tend to be a replacement for Post-it notes for me.
Right.
So I think that the world is very slowly moving away from print and paper. There's still this kind of like old school, here's my business card in different textures, and sometimes you see some really, really nice ones. Like I met somebody who had like this gold metallic business card thing.
Paper?
It wasn't paper, it was metallic. And I don't want to say, because there might just be one gold metallic one, so I don't really want to say what I thought about it, but it definitely stood out. But I mean, I remember the card, but I don't remember the person or what the business was. It left an impression.
Have their significance to the whole networking.
I think there's always going to be a place for it, because it's almost like part of the culture, isn't it? It's like wearing a suit to a business meeting. It's part of the culture.
So would you prefer to hand out your business card, or would you prefer to exchange phone numbers and then chat via WhatsApp or BB pins or iMessage?
To be honest, what I prefer to do is get your number and send you a text, because immediately I can start conversation with you, and I always find it's easier to strike when the iron's hot. If you give me your contact today, I'll send you a message today, and I'll send a memorable message so that you know it's me. Or sometimes I'll even take your phone and say my name in it, so that you can just start that engagement, because sometimes with business cards, you stack them in your bag and then you go home and 2 weeks later, oh, remember me? I was the one wearing the dress that came to you and said this, and it's just, I don't know. But I mean, that's how but I think for most people,
I guess, for instance, with the business card, and remember, trying to remind the person,
Yeah.
remember who I am. I guess that also depends on what happened at the time you guys met. So again, leaving an impression. And they say business cards are meant to add to it.
Yes.
Sort of augment it, not necessarily being like your first, well, hi, here's my business card, this is what I do. Look at my title. But, after talking, I would prefer to be more slightly informal, actually. Not too formal. When it's too formal, too stiff, I may not actually be listening to you. Except, like you said, if there's a need and I'm looking for that particular, say I'm looking for somebody to write business proposals or whatever, and then you start talking to me about proposals. Oh, okay,
Right.
okay, so I'll go straight to what it is that I actually want.
Right.
I have a state government thing, I need you to actually, can you do something like that? Yes, I do so. But I'm not really interested in anything else. However, if it's not what I'm looking for, I'm coming to an event, just hanging out, chilling or whatever, I would prefer slightly more informal. Not that you're like, oh, hey girl, we don't know each other. But, oh, how's it going? Oh, that's nice dress, nice shoes, that sort of thing. What are you drinking? No, I don't take alcohol. I like tea, I like coffee, that sort of thing. And then also, what exactly do you do? And then we start talking. And then I guess we can exchange business cards. But in most cases, when you start off informal like that, exchanging phone numbers.
Yeah, so I mean, the question I would ask most people is, where were the last set of business cards that you received? Like, what do you do with them? How do you keep them? How do you keep yours?
It's on top of my fridge in my room. Just backing up.
Do you remember every single person that you have gotten a business card from?
But again, a need thing, and you've been available. So otherwise, no, actually. I don't really.
What percentage of business cards have actually come in handy for you?
Maybe 30, 35.
30, that's pretty high. I would probably say 10%.
30, 35, because say for instance, sometime a few months ago I was in Abuja and I had we were called for a presentation or whatever. And there were I didn't expect that many people. There were 15 people that we did a presentation to, and each person was a director of a particular department and needed their the whole team, the whole board. So having all their business cards helped me send the email follow-ups to all of them.
Yeah.
And then that correspondence began from there.
Yeah.
So in some instances like that, yes, and then also when I'm jumping from state to state or country, and then I'm meeting more than 3 people.
Yeah.
Business cards come in at that point.
Yeah. I think getting people's contacts is definitely a very effective way to get people's contacts, but whether or not the print version is the way forward or is going to continue to be the way forward.
Again, it depends on how you guys started the conversation. And how, the whole relationship started. But I wouldn't really say that people who come to me very formal at an event actually leave that much of an impression that I want to follow up. I easily get bored. So you come in your suit and just like, hi, this is what I do. I like to present to you, this is what I do, or whatever it is, or I like to explain to you what I do.
Yeah.
Except in one case where I went to this lounge and I was trying to park in a really tight spot. And the security guy there was just like, you know how they do.
Yeah.
Drive with their mouth. Do this, come, go, or whatever. And then when I parked, he was like, look, sister, I'm actually a graduate of Unilag, blah, blah, blah. I would like to be your driver because I can see how you are struggling with this. You're a fine lady now. You shouldn't be driving yourself now. It was really funny. So that was, he immediately started selling himself, which was fine.
Yeah.
So that was a different sort of situation, I guess, because of the circumstance or whatever was happening. But that left an impression. And I had his phone number and I'd spoken to him a few times.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing. But otherwise, I don't think if I had gone into the lounge at the time and he came, and I wouldn't have listened.
So I mean, if you reverse the roles and say you were somebody who people were trying to get a hold of, you were a CEO of a multinational conglomerate, and everybody, amen, I receive it for you. Everybody who is anybody in business wants to get a hold of you. What would the right approach be? What would somebody have to do to get your attention?
Wow. One, if we meet physically, Try not to be too stiff. Try not to be too formal. I
Okay.
get very uncomfortable when, not uncomfortable, bored. Like I said earlier, I get bored easily. So, in as much as I want you to go straight to the point quickly, I also don't want all that formal protocol. You know, I go by the name of this, what my business does isn't. You know.
So step one, don't be stiff.
Exactly.
Okay.
There has to
What
be
else?
a way you can actually transition your business idea or whatever into a conversation. I'm not saying compliment me and start a conversation by complimenting me.
Yeah.
You know, I actually
That
think
works sometimes though.
It does work sometimes, but it depends on what you're complimenting on.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
for you, what works for you?
How would somebody get my attention if I was a CEO of some sort of multinational? I think one of the things that my role has allowed me to do is to meet with different and work with different levels of people. And I actually think that the Nigerian culture in a lot of ways works against young people instead of for. For example, when myself and my sister came to Nigeria for the first time, at the time I think she was about 25 years old. That was like 24 or 25 years old. That was 3 years ago when we came. And the UK grows you up to be outspoken. It grows you up to not take anything from anybody, to stand up for yourself and stuff like that. And as I was saying, the UK brings you up to be extroverted. It brings you up to say what's on your mind, to stand up for yourself. And I found that people her age and maybe even older, you know, 25 to 30, they have this very timid disposition. I mean, those who had traveled and had worked and had done their own business they were a little bit more outgoing and outspoken. So I found that a lot of these people that I worked with, a lot of the younger staff members that I work with, I always try and put them in some sort of networking or, you know, force them to engage
Get out
with professional, senior, you know, people and decision makers. And I think that the way that we bring up our younger generation, the old school way of doing it, I'm not sure that it's still going to be the case, you know, with the new generation of parents and so on and so forth. But I think we kind of do ourselves a disjustice by not teaching our young ones to push themselves forward, to say what's on their mind. And it does hinder them in business, because you can have somebody who's really, really smart and they have so many ideas, and you put them in a room full of people who can change their lives and who can, you know,
express
they
themselves.
can't say it. They just turn into these little timid, yes sir, no sir, okay sir. And you're like, say something, you know, say something. And, you know, and then you had, you know, one of the issues that my sister had is that people thought she was rude because she would speak her mind, you know, and if you said something she didn't like, she would immediately just, and people are like, oh my God, she's older than you, you know. So I think that one of the things that I would encourage anybody, especially the younger guys who are getting into networking, to do to certainly get my attention is to be bold. I also think that people have to have like a flashcard of your business. So I feel like in 30 seconds you have to be able to communicate what it is about what you're trying to do that it gets somebody interested.
Exactly.
So it's like a business flashcard.
Exactly.
So you're putting yourself out there, you're drawing them in, you know, you're being courteous, you're having a personality, a smile, you're not being plastic, you know, like you said. And if in 30 seconds you can tell me why I should give you more of my time and do it efficiently, you know, I always think that is a winning thing. And then I think that also now asking, you got to ask for something. You know, if you don't follow up with what you want from them, whether I want your time or I want your contact, a lot of the time the talking you're doing is wasted.
Exactly.
So you need to be able to ask for something. So I think once you've had an ask, then I think it's also good to schedule the approach so that they're expecting you. You know, so rather than just taking your business card and then you get this random call, you know, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and say, okay, I'm going to call you about this. I'm going to call you sometime next week. When would be a good time to call you? Shall I text you first?
Do not make the assumption that because you're acting bold or whatever, you called me at 10 p.m. Why? That's even rude. Just make the assumption that I'm sleeping. you know. But yeah,
Yeah, there
you
is
should
that.
schedule. You should, and then the whole, even when you want to call, even if you say I'm going to call you sometime,
Right.
send a follow-up message saying, when the next week comes, what time would be a good time to call you?
Yeah.
May I call you at 3 p.m.?
Yeah.
May I call you at 2? And try to pick a decent hour.
Exactly,
Don't
exactly.
do anything too late.
Agreed.
After 7 o'clock, I think, for someone you don't know, you should leave it till the next day.
I mean, I find that people are different. So I think it depends on what they say. I think it would depend on what they say. Some people are, yes, very, okay, I close at a certain time, but not a lot in Nigeria.
No. Maybe not. It's not even, I mean, even if it's just to meet up or something, don't make any
Right.
assumption that
Of
the
course.
person is a
Yes.
late bloomer or whatever, and then you're calling late at night, So which is why you should ask.
Yes.
May I call you at
Agreed.
6? May I call you at
Agreed.
3?
Agreed.
And then follow up from there.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing for me is follow up. A lot of people miss out on opportunities by simply not following up.
Yeah.
You send a message and then you don't follow up, which means that you don't stay top of mind for that person. They have 1,000,001 things, they're doing. I've done some sales training courses for a lot of people wanting to get into sales. And one of the things that I always say to them is you have to stay top of mind for that person. When you come into someone's life, whether it's via a telephone call or an introduction, you're essentially interrupting their world. You don't know what they're doing from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. You have no idea. So you are an interruption. So you got to make sure you're a pleasant interruption, you're a welcome interruption, and you have to be able to hold their attention and legitimately follow up. So not just, I'm calling, to say hi. I had this driver who picked me up. I fly to Abuja quite regularly, and so one of the drivers that usually picks me up, he was not available, so I had to pick up a driver from the hotel. And I understood what he was trying to do, but after the third time of him doing it, I was completely freaked out. Like, he would call me, as soon as he had dropped me off at the airport, did you get on the plane? I'm like, oh, yeah, yes I did, thank you. And then he would call me about an hour and 20 minutes later, did you land? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I landed, thank you very much. And then the next day it would be, in the evening when I got home, it would be, okay, did you get home? I hope you have a good night. And you're like,
yeah,
okay. And then the next day it was, I'm just calling to check up on how your day is going.
No.
So, after a while it just becomes like
when to just
stalking.
Thank you, Sheila, for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching at the coffee shop. See you next time.
By the way, how was your night?
No.